right, welcome back, everybody, for some more Members First content. Members will get this as soon as I'm done filming and editing it, and everybody else has to wait until Friday afternoon to get my top 10 in 10 for the week of June 9th, 2023. So this is my quick 10-minute rundown of all the books that have been selling on the aftermarket, some of the new releases, some other things are just kind of picking up steam, and some price increases, etc. Hopefully you're enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. And if you want to see what books I have for you on this week's top 10 list, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back. Okay, so let me get the clock ready to roll so we can get this done in 10 minutes or less, and we are off. Okay, so to start us off, we are going to do a quick little follow-up on my Wednesday watch list. That's the list of books that came out this week that I looked ahead towards. Now we're looking behind to see how well they did now that, copies actually hit shelves. With that, only a couple books kind of really maintained worth talking about, and they're both from the Star Wars universe. First up is this issue 35, 1 in 25. It's a Phil Noto cover. It is the first cover appearance of this doctor. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Not his first appearance, but his first cover appearance, if that matters all that much to you. I feel like this is just getting a lot of extra press, more so than it should be. I don't see this really as a long-term important book, personally, but I could be wrong. That said, going into this week with the pre-sales, this thing was moving for about, 20 bucks, 40 bucks, hit a high of 80 with some of those pre-sales there end of May and just last week. But now that it's been released since Wednesday, which was the 7th, let's look at what the sales have been since then. And since these are June 7th sales, you can see the price kind of hung in there right around that $40 to $45 range. Didn't quite hit the high of the 80, but it's definitely not a ratio sale any longer. Again, right or wrong, that's where that book is right now. So just keep that in mind if you're out there shopping. The other 1 in 25 this week that's doing quite well is the second print 1 in 25 for Darth Vader Black, White, and Red. Going into this, I noted that there were some early pre-sales, which were only around like 60 bucks. And then there was that one that sold for 150 on June 2nd, just leading into the week, like just a couple of days before release day. Since release day, well, it kind of has hit that kind of mark now. It seems to be about 140, 150 if these sales can maintain. I don't know if it can maintain this price. It is an excellent cover. I like it. It's probably not an easy book to find, but that's a pretty steep price, 150 bucks. But there it is. So it's kind of maintained that high-end price since it was actually released, which is not usual and not a typical, reaction. As I said, a lot of the other books I talked about on the Wednesday watch list have all either dropped or have not really sold since Wednesday. So just keep that in mind as well. Pre-sales are good. They are a good indicator, but they are not the telltale of a book's longevity. That said, we're going back to last week. We're going back to last week because this book, the Adam Hughes 1 in 10 Virgin cover for Rocketeer #1, the one-shot, well, I'll show you in a second. Last week, this was selling for about 20 to 30 bucks. This week, started hitting more like 40 to 50. Granted, we still have had some $30 sales here and there, but the highs over the last week have started hitting more 40 to 50, whereas last week it was just 20 to 30. And this is a 1 in 10, so this is all well above ratio the last couple of weeks. So just a book that is continuing to sell and continuing to sell well, because Adam Hughes has his fans, including myself, and I'm happy to have one of these for my collection. That said, let's move on to some Spider news because a lot of the books here on the list for this week are Spider related, starting off with, well, Spider-Woman of sorts. So Spider-Woman, first appearance of Julia Carpenter here as Spider-Woman, 40 plus sales on Secret Wars #7. And great pink cap cover. I mean, she's right there on the cover as well as being on the insides of this thing. I think she might have had like a cameo like in the last issue, but this is the book that most people go for. Like I said, 40 plus sales. It's hitting 20 to 50 depending on condition. You can see a 9.6 sold for all of $84. These prices have been kind of in that range for a while now, so it's not so much a price increase as much as it is volume has started to move as we're getting more information on that Madam Web movie and knowing that one of the actresses is actually playing Julia Carpenter, who is Spider-Woman. Speaking of Spider-Woman, whether it be for that spin-off from Madam Web related or the Spider-Woman Jessica Drew that we did get in Across the Spider-Verse. I still haven't seen it, by the way. I'm going to try to see it this weekend, but I do know she shows up in the animated movie. But Spider-Woman #1 has started to sell. Surprisingly, not the first appearance of Spider-Woman, which is, what is it, Marvel Spotlight 32 or Marvel Premiere 32? I think it's Spotlight 32. That's the first appearance of Jessica Drew Spider-Woman. That's not really selling. I think there's like 17 copies that sold. Prices, again, kind of consistent to where they've been. But this, again, 40 plus sales this past week since the release of the animated movie. So I'll point to that as being the reason why folks are starting to go back to this book, which there are tons of copies out there. Let's not kid ourselves. There are a lot of these out there, but they're still selling 20 to 60 bucks raw, and look, 125 for a 9.6. Again, these are kind of the prices they've been for a while, so it's not so much a price increase as it is just a volume of number of sales this week is seeing this book kind of move. Much like more Spider-Verse related sales, including Spider-Punk. So, Amazing Spider-Man #10, featuring the Superior Spider-Man. Also, news on him coming back to the comics. But this Spider-Verse crossover, this issue 10, 60 plus sales for the first appearance of Spider-Punk. And the prices, again, it's not so much an increase in the prices as it is the volume, but they have been consistently selling for 50 to 60, which is, I think, a little bit higher than they've been lately. But there was a rush for Spider-Punk a while back because he did get a spin-off, series, comic book. And with that has also started to sell. The regular copy, it's not selling for much of a premium, the Spider-Punk #1. The new series that came out, I think, was like last year or so. But our next book does tie into that because it is a pretty awesome. Is it Otaki? I can't say his name properly. He did the awesome Yoda cover, the 1 in 25, not that long ago. But this is Spider-Punk #1. This is the 1 in 50 incentive variant. This thing has started to sell again and started to sell a bit more than it has. It's not so much volume. I mean, there might have been less than 10 sales, but a week or two ago, a couple weeks ago, this was like 80, 90 maybe for this 1 in 50. This week, in the past 7 days or so, 127, $100 raw, 160 for a 9.6, and a 9.8 selling for 230. So the price is starting to move up on the increase because this is not impossible book to find, but it's definitely not an easy book to find. And it is an awesome cover. If you have this in person, and I do have one of these, this is very bright. It's very vibrant. I'm a fan of this. But this Okazaki, that's the name. I'm just having a hard time pronouncing names these days. But the Takashi Okazaki variant, underrated. I think he's starting to come into his own as far as an artist goes, and we're seeing more works kind of being looked at. So gonna start looking back at these older variants. Like I said, that Yoda kind of put Okazaki on the radar for a lot of folks. So now a lot of people are looking back, and this is definitely one to keep an eye on. That said, 3 minutes left. We still have a couple of more Spider books, some of which we did talk about last week. I don't like to do repeats, but it's kind of hard to ignore the fact that Secret Wars #8 is still selling. Not as many this week as last week, but 60 plus sales is still a big number for a back issue like this, including some of the prices are hitting $200 raw. I mean, best offer on $400, 155 raw, and these aren't even like high grade raws. Like these are some mid grade stuff selling for solid numbers, and 750 for that 9.8. So just again, a book. It's still moving. Black Suit Spidey. No, a lot of expectations on this coming, I guess, in one of the movies somewhere soon. But we'll see. The Spot, I guess, again, I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know what plays out. I don't know if the Spot's going to hang around for the next movie, and that's why people are starting to gravitate towards going back to buying the first appearance, because this had a rush. Once we learned he was going to be the villain, then it kind of died down again a bit. Now it's selling once again. So Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man #98, 60 plus sales. This is the first appearance of the Spot. He doesn't show up on the cover until the next issue, which is a nice cover, but this is the first appearance. And again, not so much the price is going up. It's still, about $30, $35 raw, where it's kind of hit that before. It's just selling again with the number of copies moving. And you can see, look, there's a 9.2 that sold on the best offer on $70. And then as far as volume goes, I don't think anything is going to top $20.99. Again, I haven't seen it, but I've heard good things about this movie, so I'm looking forward to it. I just haven't had time the last few days. I had that Philly Fan Expo to go to. That said, 240 plus sales this week. This was on the list last week as well, but it was not 240. 240 sales over the last 7 days. is nothing to sneeze at. So a lot of people picking this book up, and it's still same kind of range. You find it like $10 copies, but then there are a lot of $20 to $25 copies as well. So just keep that in mind. There are also a lot of these out there, so the volumes are getting pretty high. I guess there's a lot of excitement surrounding this movie, so that seems to be the reason why these things start to move. So, with that, that's what I got for you. That was my top 10 in 10 for this week, and we did it in under 10 minutes. So, thank you once again to all the members. You guys get to see this first, but thank you everybody. I appreciate the support, and hopefully, you guys are all enjoying the channel, whether you are a member or just a regular subscriber. And if you're not a subscriber, please hit that sub button, subscribe to the channel. New content dropping every day. And with that, I still have to do dollar bin digging for today to get out to you guys, and I will see you guys soon with some more content. All right, later.